Hey, you're listening to Innovators Can Laugh, the fun startup podcast. I'm your host, Eric Milcher. On ICL, we interview an innovative entrepreneur in the European tech startup scene every week. My goal is to have my guests share their wisdom while having a little fun in the process. Now let's dive in. Hello, beautiful people. How y'all doing? I'm Eric Milcher, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me out of your very busy day as I get to talk to some of the most inspiring and innovative people in the startup scene here in Europe. Now, I'm going to introduce you to Mircea Popa, but before I do that, I don't want you to miss out on a single episode of the show. So whatever platform you're on right now, if you haven't already, just reach out and give that subscribe button a push. That way you're notified every time there is a new episode. Anyway, my friends, excited about this. I'd like to introduce you to Mircea Popa. He is co-founder of Medicai, a Romanian medtech startup. Medicai is a collaborative imaging platform that enables better sharing and communication between patients, doctors, and clinics. They currently have 120 customers and are projected to do about 1.5 million in revenue for 2023. Prior to Medicai, Mircea and a friend co-founded SkinVision, a skin cancer screening app that detects melanoma from images taken on a smartphone. Mircea, welcome to Innovators Can Laugh.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, Mircea, I'm curious, where did you grow up and how did that impact your view of the world, Mircea?
I grew up right here in Bucharest, Romania. So I think that kind of gives you a grim view of the world. But
you said grim?
I think,
You said grim?
It's, yeah. Well, actually, I am joking, but I think there's there is some truth to it.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, your childhood was what, back like in the 80s, maybe, or in early 90s? What?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
It was 85. So that's when I was born. I was born in 85, and then 5 years later the revolution came. Not that I took notice, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then I kind of grew up in the 90s.
Okay. Now, what was what was your childhood like? And also, was there any good advice or the best advice you ever got from maybe your mom or dad that you've kept to heart?
Well, I do think fondly of my childhood, so I guess it was, I liked it. It was nice. Some advice, yeah. I don't know. Apart from keep learning, which I never. I always thought, this is what grown-ups say. So
yeah.
that was. I can remember my father was always, you need to keep learning, keep improving.
Okay.
And I always thought, yeah, sure.
Yeah. When you brought your report card home, was he, did he like review it with a microscope and and say, okay, what happened here? Why did you get this grade? Tell me about it.
Romanian school wasn't like that. So report card was kind of optional. Sometimes you'd have, and kind of, as we grew, you move on to well, let's call it higher education. Like, you get into gymnasium and then high school. It's, they just ask, what do you get? What are your grades? Oh, they're good enough.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was always difficult because I only learned what I liked. So if there was something, that I didn't like, then it's to hell with it.
Yeah. Okay. What I don't get is most kids here, they get out, like around 12 o'clock, or school only lasts 4 hours. Whereas in the States, I mean, you went to school like at least 7 hours. So I always joke with my wife, if I ever run for like city council or for mayor or some government office here in Romania, that's going to be on my agenda. Send the kids to school full time till 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 24 hours.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell us about Medicai. What does it do?
So, it does a lot, actually. In a nutshell, we help doctors, medical service providers, and patients share and collaborate in a better way on medical data. Mostly we focus on imaging. So in other words, as a patient, you go into an MRI machine and they keep you there for an hour looking at different things in your body. And at the end, they say, okay, you're going to get a CD, which is a bit crazy because you just got out of a $1 million machine, right? And I don't even have a CD-ROM drive on my laptop. So, okay, thank you very much for the CD, but what am I going to do with it? And the next thing you need to do as a patient is you call up your doctor, the one that requested the MRI, and you're going to take that CD, put it in your pocket, and then walk towards that clinic or get into a bus, Uber, subway, whatever. And it's kind of like, that's the ideal route. But what happens in reality is you're going to call up the doctor and they're going to say, sure, let's set up an appointment. And it's usually 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to the MRI machine, you get back to your specialist, and it's a month has gone by. Yeah. Nobody knows, the doctor can't remember what you were there for. So we see a lot of delays in patient treatment. We see a lot of mistakes. And it also frequently happens that you go back to the doctor with the MRI and they say, oh, interesting, but this is not something I can treat. You need a surgeon. Go see a surgeon. And then everything happens all over again, right? So
it's so inefficient, Mircea. Why are we doing it like this for so long? The way you put it, the way I hear you tell it, it's like, wait a minute. I can instantly use Glovo or Uber Eats to order food, and it's going to come to my door in like 45 minutes. Pago is an app that you could pay all of your utility bills really quickly from your phone. And yet I never thought about this, but you're right. When I've gone to go get an MRI, I've had to go into a separate clinic, get some kind of disc, schedule an appointment with my doctor so that he can review it and then wait for the diagnosis. Usually 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks later than when I first started experience, the pain or discomfort. So yeah, there's just a lot of time that's gone by that's being wasted. And so it sounds to me like Medicai is making it super easy so that results from your diagnosis can be shared across clinics, across doctors, just like spontaneously. I mean, would you say that's correct?
Yeah. So there's this whole discussion about, the EHR or the electronic health record of the patient and how to make it available. Right? Imaging is a subset of that, and it's kind of a special skill set. So out of that whole picture, what we're handling is imaging. And imaging might mean anything from an MRI or a CT scan, but also include videos like endoscopies or digital pathology, right? So for oncology patients, you do a biopsy and that generates images. So you could also be, we can think of an environment where the data must flow. So the patient doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's so, in a way, think of us as what we're trying to build is the internet of imaging.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Because and the other there's a lot of irony in this, to be honest. So we're talking about AI. And this is how we started with Medicai, actually. We said we're going to do AI. We were coming out of SkinVision and computer vision. We knew how to do computer vision. We knew how to do AI and had an understanding of what it means to build a solution in the healthcare system. Mm-hmm. And then we got into this space and it was like, okay, CDs, trip down memory lane, right?
You're like, wait a minute, I'm using my smartphone to detect skin cancer. I'm going backwards here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the doctor saying, okay, this is holding a CD. This is how we get images. Oh. So AI plus CDs, they don't. It's like, they don't mix.
Okay.
So how's this going to work? And at the same time, you go on LinkedIn and then, or you start reading, hey, FDA just approved 250 algorithms for radiology. So, thinking 10 years from now, where do we want to have this system? It's like, I don't want to, wait 10 years until I get something. Probably what's going to happen, each year you're going to go into an MRI machine or a CT scan. And then that data will be sent to, 100 AI algorithms that will look over that data and tell you, look, if you continue like this, in 10 years time, you're going to develop this or that. Right? So it's going to move towards preventive care and screening. But how's that going to work? So are we going to ship out 100 CDs? Right? You're going to need a different infrastructure.
Okay.
And also it's interesting because patients don't usually realize, but behind the MRI machine sits a radiologist.
Yeah.
It's not the surgeon that looks over the images, right? And it's not the surgeon or your clinician that diagnoses the images. It's a radiologist. And if you want to if you want to screen the population of the Amazon, you're not going to have a radiologist sitting next to the MRI machine in the jungle,
Yeah.
right? And then thinking, and then we don't even need to go that far. We can think of the remote villages in Romania, or think of what's happening now in the Ukraine or Africa.
Yeah.
So we're not going to have enough radiologists. And then even if you get one radiologist to sit behind the MRI, it's not realistic to think that that radiologist will be an expert in anything or everything.
Yeah. Yeah. He may
So
be tired too, or he, like you said, he may just come out of school and not really have that much experience under his belt. Who knows?
yeah, so humans have this bad habit of sleeping and eating. They can't work 24 hours a
Yeah.
day. So you're probably going to need different solutions for this. And we started tackling the infrastructure part. So how do you create this layer that allows the transfer of this data? But at the same time, how do you do it taking into account different regulations? You're crossing borders in the EU, US, and how do you do this compliant to all regulations and all technology
Yeah,
standards?
but you guys seem to have figured it out. In fact, there was a story that I read where it was some Romanian medtech startup was able to help doctors
Yeah,
diagnose cancer patients coming from Ukraine. These were Ukrainian refugees, and I guess they were maybe going into Moldova, and they were able to use your technology to really get these images to the appropriate doctors or hospitals or clinics in a very short amount of time. So how did you guys crack that code, Mircea? How are you guys doing it?
well, so we've built the infrastructure. So the whole magic happens if you have the infrastructure. And then when the problem came in, it was easy for us to react fast. And in 2 weeks, everything was set up. So the challenge is in, okay, you have data in different places. You need to make that data available to a specialist in the US, a specialist in Europe, and allow the patient in the Ukraine or different place to upload it. So it becomes a matter of how do you orchestrate all these data repositories, and then how do you make the data available in a compliant way? Also, the imaging, we're talking about large files, so it's not like I'm sending over a PDF.
Yeah.
And so and you need, well, we did spend some time working on this. But what we're doing, if you want to go into the technicalities of it, what we're doing is think of us as a cloud layer that creates an index of all the data that we're managing. So we don't centralize the data. We work with the systems that hospitals already
Okay.
have, but we map the data. The users of the platform are all, also managed by the cloud, so at a kind of a cloud level, so to
Okay.
speak. And then we know each user, what access they have and what data specifically.
Okay.
So this is how we keep things compliant. And then we've built all the components needed to be able to open the data in a browser, make it
Okay.
lightweight, uh, use any
Yeah.
device. So then if you have this, then it's just a matter of, okay, how can I find the right players in the right
Yeah.
spots to work with this? And the idea with the Ukraine, problem was, so of course, war, Russia came in, there was war, and then you had these patients that had to get treatment for oncology, for
Yeah.
cancer. There were oncology patients. And because everything was closing down, you can't do radiotherapy, radiation treatment for cancer while bombs are hitting
Yeah.
your city, because you need a reliable power supply, for example, right? And so we had to find different clinics in different places that could treat these patients. But the first thing is you need to know what treatment they need. So first step, get the data. Second step, do a treatment plan. So you need to have experts looking at these cases, deciding what the patient needs, and then start allocating patients to the facilities that can actually receive them.
Who was communicating with the patients at this time?
The doctors. So they're the interface. We're just a technology provider. We make it possible, but it's the doctors that do the magic.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then we had so this was a really passionate team of doctors working out of the US, Canada. So basically so top level world class team of specialists looking at these cases, which opens another interesting door. Another interesting discussion. It's about access to expertise.
Yeah.
So how do you provide access to the best expertise to people, even if those people live in the mountains or on an island?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess rough estimate, I mean, how many cancer refugees were coming over at the border and were able to benefit from Medicai in this treatment?
So this wasn't just refugees. These were people living in the Ukraine that couldn't find treatment. So I think right now it's in the order of the hundreds.
Okay. And
If you want, I can probably get an exact
no, no,
number,
no, I don't
but
need an exact number. And so right now, you're primarily in just Romania, correct? Are there
yeah. So we started.
plans to go international?
Yeah, definitely. So we are looking very much at the US market.
Okay.
Um, Actually, now Medica is a US company. So we did the first step, and now we have a few pilots that we're starting in the US, and then we want to expand over there as well.
Okay. How were you able to get traction? Because you've got over 100 different clinics and hospitals utilizing this. Getting the first few though, that's the hardest. What did you do, Mircea?
Well, so the first clinic was the hardest, and then the second, and then gradually becomes easier. I found a neurology clinic, and I went to them, and we were also lucky because these guys were, younger entrepreneurial, understood technology, and we were talking about something. So usually the first problem is you go into your first potential customer or partner, and the first thing you tell them is imagine something. So you need people that can imagine the thing you're talking about. And we were lucky in that sense. And I told them, look, we're a startup. We want to do something in imaging. And if you're willing to work with us and give us feedback, at the end of this process, we might have something that actually helps you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to build something blind, and who knows what, and nobody's going to gain anything out of it. So we were able to get the first clinic, and they worked with us on improving the product and making it something that they could actually use in their day-to-day lives. And then we started looking at who are they collaborating with, and then we started engaging and talking to those specialists, and so on and so forth. And then it was about, we have this quality of being a network.
Okay.
And it kind of, if you start using it and you like it, then it becomes your interest of bringing others on board, so they can also benefit from it.
Yeah.
And this kind of grows the network. And right now in Romania we have close to 4,000 doctors signed
Okay.
up, and we see hundreds opening the app every day, and we're just, we're excited about growing this network and see where we can take it.
Oh man, that's fascinating. Very, very fascinating, Mircea. What's your biggest goal this year, 2023?
Getting to 2024. No, I mean, well, we were happy with what we're doing, and we just want to, be able to keep up the pace. And we're growing. So this is in terms of business, and opening up the US. We're really excited about it because we see huge potential over there.
Okay. All right. And what's a big mistake, whether it was with Medicai or your previous startup, that you made and you vow you will never make again?
Okay, so I have a long list that I can. No, I think it's so. One thing, and this is something I always say that I'm not going to do again, and I always end up doing. There's all So one thing I've learned from these two companies is tech startups, especially if you go for the VC model or you want to scale, it's timing. I mean, 70-80% of it is timing. And what you need to make sure when you start doing something is that there is a hungry market that's underserved and looking for your product. Right? So it's kind of, you need to make sure that what you're doing is something that the people are looking for. Not all the people, not all the world, but there's a segment out there that's looking for what you're doing. And when they see it, they're going to say, yeah, I've been looking for this, and thank you. I want to have this. And this is something you can probably test and look out for before you do the first funding round, before you write the first line of code, right? And there's this temptation for entrepreneurs to get excited about an idea that they've had, and they start skipping these steps. And of course, it starts costing you down the line because you haven't validated it properly. I mean, look at what we did with Medicai in the beginning. We said we're going to do AI, and it costs you 6 months, 12 months And it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not waste, right? This is a learning, and it's an investment you've made in the company, but it can, you can make it more efficient.
Yeah. Okay.
Just by spending 3 months and researching and thinking of the small tests that you can do, and you can probably, I mean, in our case, we could have probably saved 6 months at least.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I have a few rapid fire questions for you, Mircea. And again, just give me the first answer that pops to your head. First one, would you rather have $50,000 cash or dinner with Mark Cuban?
50,000.
Okay. All right. What's the most interesting thing you've done in the last 26 days?
Most interesting thing in the last 26 days? I don't know. For me, the last 26 days were like one big day. They started merging together. Unfortunately, I can't. What was it? Dinner at a restaurant.
Okay.
That was the most exciting thing I did in the last 26
It sounds like my life. I got 2 little kids. My life's not too exciting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry I didn't get hired by a corporation. I have to work in a startup, so that's the most exciting part, going for dinner or a movie.
Yeah. Okay. What is a contest or a game or a challenge you have won before?
Every day is a challenge. But I'm thinking of a game. I don't know. I play tennis. Sometimes I win.
Okay.
Does that count?
Hey, I play tennis too. All right.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I'm mediocre. I'm not that good though, so.
Yeah, so am I.
All right. Okay. Well, it should be a decent game then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And haven't played tennis in the last 26 days, so I took that into account.
Shit, I haven't played like in the last year, I think. All right. Who did you want to be when you were a kid?
Yeah, I know. Since I was a kid, I never had this image of myself as being an owner of stuff. So that's kind of the. But that was because I was a lot more naive than I am today. Now you just want to, at one point you transition towards being, I just want to, have a good life, and that's it.
Okay.
So I didn't, I wasn't like the other kids. I want to be an astronaut. I remember I had colleagues who were saying, I want to be a heavy machinery driver or something. No, that wasn't me. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, what I think you're doing is quite fascinating. You're giving people the power to own and have something, the power and to like manage their healthcare in some aspects. And so it's very, very cool. In the beginning, I asked you about your childhood. You said it was kind of grim. What would you say now, though, if you were a child again growing up now? Would you still feel that way? Or how would you feel now about Romania?
No, I didn't. Yeah, so my childhood wasn't grim. It just gave us a grim outlook. But that was Romania at the time. So Romania was a country coming out of communism. And then we had this, and I don't know about other people's, right? So my childhood was Romania, but Romanians have an attitude towards themselves as like, there's nothing working here. And this is, right? So nothing can work in Romania. We're all doomed. So I think that kind of rubbed off on myself. My childhood was good, but the outlook, so thinking of the future, where Romania is going and where the country is going, that was a bit like, And, you're a kid. What do you know? You're just taking on the attitudes of others. So I think, I believe, and even in Romania, and Romania has improved dramatically over the last 20, 30 years. So now if you're a kid, I think it's just the, this world of opportunity, and everything's connected and you can see everything. So you're far more exposed to new things than we were in the 90s. The other side of this, I think this is also a problem, because kids need to be down to earth a bit. I mean, you can't be anything, right? Or you might be, but you kind of, if you don't want to be disappointed, lower your expectations, right? So there needs to be a balance, and I think it's it might work out, for some it might work out just fine, for others it might not, but I guess it also comes down to how much risk do you want to take on. And what I don't know is how many, at the end of the day, and 30 years from now, 50 years from now, how many people will be happy and satisfied, and how many will not.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, without making it complicated. I think right now it's, I mean, today things are a lot better than they used to be in the 90s.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I lived here about 13, 14 years ago, and it definitely appears that way. So definitely an agreement there. Mircea, thank you so much for being on Innovators Can Laugh. Where can people learn more about you and Medicai?
Oh, we have a website. We are online. I'm on LinkedIn, or just ping me. Happy to connect. With our website's medicai.io or .org.
Okay.
Both are us. And yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. And for those listening, think about how inspired you feel right now from Mircea's story. Imagine you had missed out on that. So if you haven't already, give that subscribe button a push. That way you're notified every time there's a new episode. But more importantly, that you don't miss out on the stories like you're hearing right now. Now, before you go on with the rest of your day, I want you to hear something. You are awesome. Yes, you. Now, you may be saying, come on, Eric, you just had Mircea. He's a rock star. He's created 2 amazing startups to help people manage their own health. And while that may be true, you are also an entrepreneur, a business owner, a creator, a startup, whatever you want to call yourself. You are one of a very small percentage of human beings that have the courage and the vision to create something new. You're taking an idea and making it into reality. And that is pretty amazing, which makes you awesome. So, all right, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you could give us a review and star rating. Also, don't forget to sign up for the ICL newsletter at innovatorscanlaugh.com, where you can get the bio and details of each guest. Thanks.